Shalom, Yasharala Shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. And I want to get into this aspect in regards to this brother. I don't know if y'all familiar with him. His name is Dr. Bobby Price. And essentially, he's a holistic doctor. Somebody had put me on to a lot of his videos, and he basically goes over a lot of the things that we should be implementing within our diet. Now, he is a vegan-based, guy, and he talks about having a plant-based diet. Me, I don't completely agree with everything because ultimately, at the end of the day, brothers, y'all got to understand the Most High made clean and unclean meats for a reason. So there's nothing wrong with eating meat, but essentially, he is exposing a lot of the things that are very wrong with the meat and with the food that we eat today. And if you brothers are new, if you never came on my channel or you don't understand, the doctors that you know and love, the doctors that your mama, your daddy, your grandma, your grandpa, who give them prescription drugs, pharmacia, and things like that, them people are evil physicians. Now, am I saying that all of them are evil? No, not necessarily. But essentially, the system, the healthcare system, especially in America, it is a wicked system. Any of y'all dealing with pain, any of y'all dealing with surgeries, any of y'all have to go through your medical insurance to get some sort of treatment. And if you understand this food industry and the things they put within your food, when the Most High unveils the scales from your eye, you will see how wicked and evil this world really is. So when you run into brothers like him and other brothers who, and some sisters who expose the truth about what we're eating and this whole money farm that these industries are doing, it really opens your eyes and it shows you the importance of taking care of yourself. I want to get some scriptures on that real quick. So this is the book of Sirach. I'm going to go to chapter 30 and I want to go to verse 14. It says, "Better is the poor being sound and strong of constitution than a rich man that is afflicted in his body. Health and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth." And that's the irony of this society we live in. You have so many people who are literally obsessed. They quote unquote want to manifest all this money, all this wealth, all this gain. And they don't understand the Bible is telling you that the way you take care of yourself and the state of your body is way more important than the money that you're making. And to be quite honest with y'all brothers, as you start to get older, you're going to start to realize that you should be putting just as much time and energy and effort that you use when it comes to making money that you should put into your body. Because when your body starts to degrade and decay over time, you ain't going to get a new one. And I'm really learning that this year. This is, a year where I've been having to deal with different health issues and whatnot. And the Most High is really, showing to me that this is extremely important. So those of y'all younger brothers who feel like you hot shit and that you Superman and nothing wrong is going to happen to you, it's going to catch up to you. But I want to read verse 16. It says, "There is no riches above a sound body, and no joy above the joy of the heart. Death is better than a bitter life or continual sickness." So essentially, man, what Sirach is teaching us is that, your body and how you take care of it and how you feel is one of the most important, if not the most important physical riches that you can get on this earth. Obviously the spiritual riches is the most important, but outside of that, your health, your peace of mind, things that we have to deal with in this society, y'all brothers should definitely take care of it. Now I want to read this in the book of Sirach 38 and 12. It says, "Then give place to the physician, for the Most High has created him. Let him not go from thee, for thou hast need of him." So basically, all praises to Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai for the internet and for mass media, because a lot of this information about what was good to be put into the body has been hidden for years. We grow up in these programming centers, aka, the school system, and they constantly telling us about the FDA approved nutritional facts, and what's the other one, where they give you your daily supplies or whatever you have to eat, that little food pyramid. Man, all that stuff is a lie. And when you actually understand what that's meant for, it's literally meant to farm you to become a medical cash cow. As y'all brothers get older, as y'all sisters get older, all the toxins and all the wickedness and the poisons that you've been eating throughout your life they expect to cash out on you when you get into your late 40s, when you get into your 50s, when you get into your 60s, especially our people dealing with high blood pressure, gout, a lot of these different sicknesses, man. So, it's very important for us to understand these things and for us to take out diligent time to make sure we taking care of ourselves, and not just ourselves, but that we try our best to spread this to our loved ones so that way they can get out of the cycle of being sick, going to these sorcerers, aka these modern day doctors, so they can continue to farm money out of you through this medical system. So anyways, brother, this video really opened my eyes. It's essentially a video called 10 cancer feeding foods you should never eat. And I watched this like a few days ago, and it literally blew my mind. Now, don't get me wrong, I've heard information about these things, but it's different when you hear it from the horse's mouth. So I want to just go over this and just explain to you, and y'all brothers can take notes, and y'all can really see how screwed up this society is when it comes to what we've been putting in our bodies.
So without any further ado, let's get into these 10 everyday foods that are feeding cancer, okay? Now, this isn't just a conversation for somebody who's older. This isn't just a conversation for those who have people in their family with cancer. This isn't just a conversation for somebody who's been diagnosed with it. It's hugely important to understand that cancer rates have gone up tremendously in the last 3-4 years, like 200 to 300%. Okay, so this is for everybody. And as I said before, cancer takes about 10 to 15 years to develop in the body.
And essentially what the brother is saying is that this environment that we living in, this world, is getting so polluted and so corrupted each and every day from the people who run the world, mainly Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, and essentially these high-ranking elites who run this society. What they've been doing, dumping toxins into the water supplies, spraying chemtrails into the air. Man, that stuff is going to continue to build up. And now it used to be something where cancer was something that you thought you could get when you 50, 60, 70 years old. People was 18, 25, 32, discovering tumors within their body, because now it's so defiled that it's very hard to get it out of your system. So even if you're somebody and you feel like you're in good shape, you need to be changing your diet, not only just to avoid cancer, but also when it comes to the society that we're moving into, as food gets more scarce, as death and different plagues and different famines come upon the earth more and more, powerfully. Only those who are really taking care of their mind, their spirit, and their body are going to be able to deal with a lot of the things that are coming on. As the Most High says, your body is like a temple. So you guys should be making this a lifestyle and not just doing it as a response when you go to the white man's doctor and he diagnoses you with cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, this should be within your lifestyle. You shouldn't be, doing things to protect your health when you find out you have a problem, but you should do preventative health. But let's get back into the video.
So prevention starts today. It doesn't start when you get it. When you get it or you get the diagnosis, you're working backwards. Okay? Prevention starts today. So number one, the first food that is carcinogenic, that feeds cancer, is processed refined meats. Okay? I'm talking about your turkey meat, your bologna meat, your hot dogs, your hamburgers, you name it. Okay? Your bacon, the list goes on and on. Processed refined meats, and I've said this before, are level 1 carcinogen, and they're known to cause cancer to the same tune of plutonium, uranium, and cigarettes. They're in the same category.
Yeah, so basically what he's saying the same food that you putting in that's promoted in these grocery stores, it causes cancer to a similar level as you being around radioactive waste. That's how you know how toxic the meat that we're eating is. And I'm guilty of this because, when y'all be going to the gym, you want to gain muscle. You like, man, let me get that ground beef. Let me get that ground turkey. Because these are clean animals according to the word. But because we're in a defiled land, essentially the animals that used to be clean, they are already defiled and toxic. Let's go and get that scripture real quick. This is Ezekiel chapter 4 and verse 12. It says, and thou shalt eat it as barley cakes, and thou shalt bake it with dung that cometh out of man in their sight. So basically, the Most High was speaking to the prophet Ezekiel that when he, would cultivate the bread with the barley and things like that, that he was to mix it with his own feces. So basically, Ezekiel was eating defiled bread, and it was symbolic. It says, verse 13, and the Most High said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whether I will drive them. So, as y'all know, the northern kingdom was in the Assyrian captivity and eventually spread throughout the four corners of the earth. And in the southern kingdom, they were in captivity with ancient Babylon at this time. So essentially what was one of the punishments that we would have to go through is we would be eating defiled meats. And there's no different today. That's why pig is such a very, popular dish that our people eat. What is it? Chitlins, the chitlin circuit, sea roaches like shrimp, crab, lobster, red lobster, butter biscuits, and shrimp. You know what I'm saying? So essentially, bro, not only are we eating unclean foods, but also we're eating defiled food among the Gentiles. Because just like Ezekiel was eating bread mixed with shit, the food we eat, the meat we eat, the bread we eat, the vegetables we eat, the fruit and stuff like that is defiled. So even though it may taste good, it may taste sweet to our taste buds, it's really shitty when it comes to the nutritional value that it has. And the vast majority of this food is meant to destroy and break down your body, especially as you get older. So it says, then said I Yahweh, behold, my soul has not been polluted, for from my youth up even till now have I not eaten of that which dieth of itself, or is torn in pieces, neither came there abominable flesh into my mouth. Then he said unto me, lo, I have given thee cow's dung for man's dung, and thou shalt prepare thy bread. Moreover, he said unto me, son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment. So one of the punishments is that due to the defilement and the wickedness of the food that we would eat, we would have to eat with care. We would have to carefully measure our water, because one, we wouldn't have a great supply of it, but two, we knew that it would be defiled, and that would be our punishment. That's why it's extremely important for y'all brothers and sisters to be praying, to be constantly, moving within the word, because we can't stop ourselves from eating a lot of this stuff. Let's get back to the video so y'all can hear what he's talking about.
Okay. So these foods shouldn't even be in the supermarket. They're that toxic. They shouldn't even be a choice. Okay. But they are a choice. And they are a choice that people are eating multiple times a day. So they're giving themselves multiple doses every day. All right. Number two, added sugar. Okay. Sugar feeds cancer. Okay.
And also, real quick, before he goes into the sugar, one thing I want to bring up, y'all brothers can look up your scripture in Sirach or in Proverbs, but the Most High says that you should eat your meat and not eat it excessively. Because like the brother said, the meat shouldn't even be in the supermarkets. So when you eating, meat 2-3 times a day, what he's basically letting you know is that you're bringing in toxins into your body multiple times throughout the day. So he's basically letting you know you should be very careful about how much meat you're intaking, because essentially a lot of these meats are filled with a lot of toxins that will cause cancer as you get older, or can cause cancer, I should say.
Sugar doesn't create cancer, it feeds cancer. That's really important. What creates cancer is the metabolic dysfunction that I talked about earlier, the mitochondrial dysfunction. Once the cells become dysfunctional in terms of their metabolism, now they're using fermentation. This is why eating sugar is so dangerous at that point. You're literally feeding the cancerous cell at that point. And we've seen under a microscope, when we look at somebody's PET scan, we know we use a PET scan because cancerous tissue feeds on sugar at 10 times the rate as healthy tissue. Now, I'll tell you, there are people who refute this because they'll say the tumor, okay? It's important to know that that tissue around the tumor is not like the healthy tissue, because the healthy tissue doesn't consume sugar at that rate. So what's happened is it's using that healthy tissue to insulate itself. The same way that cancerous cells actually use a process called angioedema. That means that it's taking your blood supply from other areas to nourish itself so that it can grow. All right, so you can't say that it doesn't feed cancer because it's using that sugar to feed the growth, the cells that are around it. So it does, okay? And 70% of foods in the supermarket today have added sugar. And not only that, added sugar causes systemic inflammation. That's inflammation all over the body, which damages the mitochondria, which I said before, when your mitochondria becomes dysfunctional and damaged, now you have a metabolic issue, which is the baseline of what's causing this in the first place, okay?
So just going over the list, we got refined processed foods like bacon, bologna. Now, obviously, our brothers don't eat pork and stuff like that. But, you know, even when it comes to the ground beef, ground turkey, you know, like shredded turkey, sandwich meat, stuff like that. Anything where they're mixing it in with other stuff, you definitely don't want to eat it. But now he's also talking about added sugar. And whenever you go to any store, any restaurant, that's the first type of food that that's the first type of drink that you're getting. So essentially what you're doing is you're becoming a breeding ground for cancer whenever you eat meat and you ever eat like you know, these different fruits and vegetables with GMO and pesticides and insecticides. And essentially what the sugar does is it creates a more toxic environment for the cancer cells to feed off of and grow and develop as you get older. And that's why sugar is so addictive, because one, it's a natural sweetness that we love to eat inside our own taste buds. But what they've done is they've used artificial sweetener and artificial sugar to get us hooked on that taste, that as we get older, it's extremely hard to get off of it.
Number 3, refined carbohydrates. Okay, refined carbohydrates, breads, pastas, especially white flour, all of those are nothing like what our ancestors ate, 100 years ago. Okay, it's totally hybridized, sprayed, laid with chemicals. Okay, and that is also feeding it as well too. Number 4,
and that's the real challenge, is that we can go back to traditional diets, right? But the thing is, with the way Esau set up this system, especially in America. Now, when you go to Jamaica, like where my family's from, and if y'all brothers got family in other countries, y'all know that a lot of the people live off the land, right? But when it comes to America, the farming industry has essentially become commercialized. So instead of you having local farmers where you would go to the local market, you go down the street, now you have these huge mega corporation companies that are mass producing a lot of these products. And essentially what's happening is that they are monopolizing who's being able to farm these different foods. Like if y'all look up the company Monsanto, one of the most wicked, evil corporations in America that's ever been created. They are the ones who are spreading a lot of the GMO genes that whenever you have certain crops that are controlled by Monsanto and big farming corporations, whenever those crops bud, during the spring, whenever they pollinize and they germinate or whatever, when they're trying to reproduce, they have specific genes within the plant that they'll go to local farms and essentially they're like a stronger species. So if you have a natural type of corn or a natural type of potato or whatever, the GMO modified one essentially takes it over and then it pollutes all the other crops and they patent the crop. So if hypothetically speaking, you have 100 natural corn crops and you have 20 Monsanto or genetically modified crops, as soon as the wind spreads, the I forgot the term of it, where the plant essentially, it gestates the seed into another plant. That's how a lot of the other crops become corrupted. It's literally like cancer, like how cancer cells in your body, they spread, they take over other healthy working cells and they become corrupted. It's the exact same thing that goes on with the agriculture system. So essentially, the longer that these polluted chemicals keep getting sprayed, the more toxic and the more defiled the cows get, the plants get, and us, the people get.
Hydrogenated oils. Okay, these hydrogenated oils turn into what are called trans fats. And even though in 2013, The FDA finally banned trans fats, which we had data back in the 1950s that trans fats were causing heart attacks and also systemic inflammation. We knew this in the 1950s, took them until 2013. We still find them in the food supply. Okay, so these hydrogenated oils, which are banned, trans fats are banned in Europe, okay, but they're still present in our food supply. Number 5, alcohol. I know that you've heard a lot about how a glass a day keeps the doctor away or whatever it may be, but alcohol is a toxin, okay? And how do you get alcohol? You know what they have to do to get alcohol? They have to ferment it. What did I say about fermenting? It's important to know that. It's important to know that there's a connection, okay? Fermentation creates more sugar, okay? And it's just hugely important to understand that alcohol in and of itself is a toxin, okay? Just based on the dose, of course, but it is.
Now, again, you got to understand, he is a holistic doctor and he does eat a strictly vegan-based diet. So if you are brothers who understand the word, there are many different instances where many of our forefathers, they drank wine, mainly when they were trying to get married, when they wanted to have feasts. And even the word does speak about how, you know, if you drink a little wine or something like that, it can have some form of healing, especially for your stomach. But essentially, you got to remember, you know, obviously anybody who's a drunkard will not inherit the kingdom. But whenever you're doing these things, you do want to consume it in moderation. And you typically want to stay away from a lot of the strong spirits that really destroy your stomach lining, your liver lining, because things like hard vodka and moonshine and Hennessy and all that, and you doing it repeatedly, that's going to end up having a lot of bad effects on you, especially as you get older.
Toxin, okay? And is known to cause increased risk in liver, stomach, and pancreatic cancer, and even colorectal cancer, okay? Any form of alcohol, no matter if it's wine or, you know, a shot of whiskey, all right? Number six is farmed salmon, okay? Farmed salmon, because they use they find these chemicals called dioxins in them, and dioxins are a carcinogen, okay? Number 7, food sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides, okay? We forget, if something can kill a pest, something can kill a pest being a rodent or something to that nature. Something can kill insect by paralyzing its nervous system, or something can kill a herbicide, which is made to heal us in many cases. If something can kill those, then it can affect us as well too. And we know that because if you go and do the research yourself and look up all of the lawsuits that Bayer, the company that owns Monsanto, was ordered to pay, even this year in January, a settlement of $2.25 billion in January for the effects of glyphosate, which is a pesticide. Okay, so.
And also, brothers, y'all got to understand, the reason why these agricultural farmers, first and foremost, invented things like pesticides and insecticides is because when you understand the word, when you have a lot of famines and a lot of plagues that hit your crops, that's a curse. Let's go to Deuteronomy real quick. We're going to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 4. It says, "Blessed shall be the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your ground, and the fruit of your cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep." And I want to go down to verse, what is it? Okay, verse 18. We can start at verse 17. But it says, "Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind and the flocks of thy sheep." So essentially, the Most High is cursing the fruits of your body, which is literally talking about your kids, but also the fruit of thy land. So we live in a wicked society where good is bad and bad is good. There's all types of wickedness like abortion, pride rights. I ain't gonna get too deep into it. So whenever you do stuff like that, the Most High confirms that you deserve certain curses. So essentially, you have different insecticides and different pesticides to stop these crops from being destroyed by a lot of these, different predators and, germs and things like that. But what it does is that when they try to prevent them things from destroying the crops, you are literally ingesting chemicals. So one thing y'all got to understand, when y'all at your house, and let's say you got WD-40 or something like that, like a cleaner of the counters, would you ever spray that on your lettuce before you cook your food? Well, y'all have to understand, a lot of these insecticides and pesticides that are literally killing and destroying bugs, them chemicals is not meant for us to consume it. Now, yeah, they might wash it and rinse it off, but let's be real. How many times have you gone into the grocery store and you purposely had to wash your vegetables because you knew that there was all sorts of chemicals and things on it to try to make it look nice, especially when you go to the grocery store, because they inject certain chemicals within the fruits and the vegetables to keep it looking nice, because sometimes the vegetables be there for 3-4 days. You see what I'm saying? Because they're trying to increase their profits. They don't give a damn about you. They're focused on increasing the profits. And because the Most High is cursing the land, cursing the fruit, cursing the cattle, they have to try to play God to try to essentially keep their crops and stuff from degrading, so that way they can keep up the mirage that everything is fine, but also so that way they can keep making money. So this is 1 Timothy chapter 6 and 9. It says, "But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition." And that's essentially the type of society that we've gone into, this covetousness, lavish living lifestyle, where the people who run the society are so money hungry. It has made a lot of bad effects on the average person today. So verse 10, it says, "But for the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows." So this is speaking about those who are within the faith who got corrupted by riches. But also this is talking about the nature of those who love riches, who love money, that they're eventually going to do anything it takes in order to keep making those record profits. So when you essentially, incorporate the food industry, that's what happens. So when the brother is basically talking about how they're spraying pesticides and insecticides on foods that you're eating, nothing good can come out of it.
People are getting, suing and getting paid every day. But despite that, they're still loading up the crops with it and spraying it everywhere on everybody's lawn. And we're digesting it. And it's caused a lot of the health issues that we're experiencing today. Number 8, dairy. Dairy is true indeed scary. So dairy also feeds cancer as well too. According to a physician study with over 21,000 subjects, it increased prostate cancer. So that's one of the things that I tell people who suffer with issues like even BPH, like inflammation of the prostate, which could be a sign of what's to come in terms of like potentially cancer. I tell them, like, you got to get rid of dairy out of the diet. It is inflammatory to the body. It is human growth fuel for a cow, not for a human. Okay, but it makes us grow too. And it makes things in our bodies grow, like the prostate. Okay, so dairy. Number 9, and I know this one going to hit everybody, is microwave popcorn. Microwave popcorn is a carcinogen because it contains what are called PFCs. Okay, and the unfortunate thing about microwave popcorn is that it accounts for roughly 20% of all PFOA levels in Americans. Okay, and so it's the lining of the bag. It's the lining of the bag of popcorn that has these perfluorinated, compounds in it that end up being carcinogenic to us. Okay, so.
And I'm gonna keep it real. When I was young, bro, I used to tear up popcorn. I would get the butter, rub it on the bag, make sure I get all the butter. And when y'all really look at like the food that y'all ate as a kid, everything that he talking about, I guarantee you I ate it all. There probably ain't nothing on this list that you didn't eat. And that's how wicked they are, man, is they start you from a young age. Like the scripture says, train up a child when he is young in the way that he will be. They train you up to destroy you from birth. You know what I'm saying? So, y'all brothers got to be real blessed and real thankful that the Lord opened y'all eyes. And, for those of y'all who want to leave a legacy, man, and, make sure you teaching this to your kids, bro, because this world that we living in, they're just teaching them death and destruction, man.
Again, and you should know roughly 90% of all corn In the U.S., it's genetically modified, which means that it's also sprayed with pesticides like glyphosate as well too. Okay, so it's like a double dose. Number 10, food dyes. So red number 3 and 40 and yellow number 5 and 6 are carcinogens. And not only are they carcinogens, but they've been known to be associated with ADHD and ADD and possibly even autism as well too.
And then that's when people be wondering, man, why all these kids have ADD and ADHD? Because you've been feeding them Gushers, you've been feeding them fruit roll-up. What else? You've been feeding them hot Cheetos. All this stuff, bruh. Anything that come in a package with food is not good. And even the stuff that doesn't come in a package is still defiled. You know, so it's like pick your poison at this point.
Okay, and then the bonus I'll give you is sugary drinks and beverages like sodas and even the zero sodas that have no sugar in them are also associated with causing an increased risk for cancer as well too. Now, what I will say,
now I don't want to make this video too long, but it's already been long anyway. But basically what he's telling you is that you're screwed. Everything you eat, from the food, from the meat, to the water, to the drinks, to the lettuce, you know what I'm saying, to the fruits, to the sugar, to the popcorn, it all has different chemicals that can create cancer. And that's not even talking about a lot of the soaps y'all use, the lotions that y'all put on y'all body, you know, the shampoo that you put in your hair, the air that you breathe, the water you drink, the water that you bathe in. So my point is that everything is defiled. And the longer that we tend to move in this society, it's only going to get worse and worse because the curses are going to get stronger and stronger. All right, I read Isaiah 24:3. It says, the land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled. For the Most High has spoken this word. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languished and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. The earth is also defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the law, changed the ordinances, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore has the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. So essentially, because of all the wickedness happening on the earth will continue to be defiled, meaning the land and the people as well. And until, you know, things get restored in order, it's only going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And what a lot of these devils don't tell you is that they try to cover it up and talk about, oh, global warming and, oh, we got to prevent our environment from being destroyed and dumped. But they were the same ones who have been inventing these things for decades and decades and decades and decades. But they want to put a tax on you. They want to put restrictions on you, when in actuality, it's a societal thing. So that's just a cop-out. So essentially, man, what can you do? If the water you drink, the baby formula you give your son and your daughter is contaminated, bro, like, what can you do? Let's read the scripture real quick. Sirach 38:1, and this whole chapter is really beautiful when it comes to telling you about healing in the Lord. So let's read it. It says, honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which you may have of him, for the Most High has created him. Of the Most High cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. The skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. The Most High has created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not hate them. So first things first, honor your physician. Find a good doctor that you can trust, preferably a holistic doctor who's not in it for the money, who's not in it to be a part of big pharma and get their certification so they can run through and run their company. Because a lot of these doctors making 6 figures, but you got to understand they got to play ball. Just like these athletes got to play ball and push, satanic agendas in order to get that bag. These doctors got to play ball in order to keep their certification. So it says the Most High create medicine out of the earth. So also what you should be doing, if possible, is looking into different herbs. Because again, the Most High, he created these herbs to be able to heal us. Now let's go to verse 5. It says, was not the water made sweet with wood, that the virtue thereof might be known? And he has given men skill, that he might be honored in his marvelous works. With such does he heal men and take away their pain. Of such does the apothecary make a confection, and of his works there is no end, and from him is peace all over the earth. My son, in your sickness do not be negligent, but pray unto the Most High, and he will make thee whole. So essentially, the Most High is saying to understand how the Most High can heal you. So, you should be moving in prayer. Even the scripture, I forgot what verse, I think it's in Corinthians, it says, go into the elders of your church and pray to heal the sick. Because again, the scripture says, when 2 or more gathered in my name, know that Hamashiach, the spirit of Hamashiach, is there. So, brothers got to stay prayed up, man. When you have different ailments in your body, pray to the Lord, because Yahweh Shai and his disciples are not on the earth performing physical miracles, allowing people who couldn't see to hear as far as physically, but the power of prayer is always going to be powerful in any time. And also understand this, that the prayer of the wicked is an abomination unto the Lord, but the prayer of the righteous is a sweet savor unto the Most High. So if you living in a wicked mind, in a wicked society, and you moving wickedly, if you pray to the Lord and you have different ailments in your family, why would the Most High hear you? Why would the Most High heal you or heal your people? So that's why verse 10, it says, leave off from sin and order thine hands aright and cleanse your heart from all wickedness. So if you want to be in good health, work to leave off sin, work to cleanse your heart, cleanse your mind from your wickedness, right? And it says, give a sweet savor and a memorial of fine flour, and make a fat offering as not being. And y'all understand, if you go to the book of Romans chapter 12 and 1, it says, beloved, make your body a living sacrifice. So a lot of times when you make a sacrifice to the Most High and you're doing things in righteousness, he will heal you. And in verse 12 it says, then give place to the physician, for the Most High has created him. Let him not go from thee, for thou hast need of him. And this ain't talking about the average physician that you go through your medical insurance. It's talking about a real physician who really has a good care for you. Do not fall for these doctors' bullshit, man. They're just like salesmen. I used to be in sales. A lot of the same tactics that they do the exact same thing in sales. So you can't trust a doctor just because he wear a white coat, because they're just as good snake oil salesmen as a lot of the dudes knocking on your door. Trust me. So it says, verse 14, it says, for they shall also pray unto the Most High, that he would prosper that which they gave for ease and remedy to prolong life. He that sinneth before his maker, let him fall into the hand of the physician. So those who continue to sin, they're going to fall into the hand of the physician, and not the holistic physician. Well, it's twofold, because if you're wicked, the Most High will send a plague to your house, right? So you're going to have to go to a physician to try to get healed, right? But also, he may bring you into the hands of the physician of your enemies, who, again, a lot of these dudes are in it for the money. And a lot of this modern day medicine is not meant to heal you. It's only meant to treat you so you can keep coming back again and again and again and again. And one thing that I'm learning, brothers, is that the greatest healing and the greatest diet is when you always go back to the old path. Don't get too caught up in all this bullshit modern day medicine with, trying to get too caught up in trying to do everything according to the book. The Most High has always created a formula and a system set up. Yes, we do live in a defiled land, and if y'all brothers don't got money to buy healthy food and stuff like that, it is what it is. Try to get your paper up, but ultimately at the end of the day, no matter how much money we have, we're still gonna have different issues with the food, different issues with the water. That's why it's important for y'all to pray. That's why it's important for y'all to dwell in righteousness, because these people have been trying to kill off our people for centuries, and they haven't been able to, due to the Most High's divine protection. So, moving with your power and knowing your power and doing the things that your power requires of you is extremely important if you want to stay healthy, especially in these times, in this day, in this age. I want to get this scripture in Proverbs. This is Proverbs 3:1. It says, my son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. So essentially, the Most High is saying, if you follow my word and my commandments, you will have a long life. You will have good health and you will have peace. So remember that. And also, I want to get this because this is a good one. So let's go to the book of Matthew 17 and 19. It says, then came the disciples to Yahushua apart and said, why could not we cast him out? Speaking of the demon that was in a man that they couldn't rebuke out of his body. And Yahushua said unto them, because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if you have faith as a grain of a mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, remove here to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Howbeit this kind goeth out, not but by prayer and fasting. So for those of y'all brothers who don't know, Matthew 17 and verse 21 is taken out of the ESV and the what's the other one? I forgot the name of it. The NIV, right? Very important, because this is not only good when it comes to casting out demons, but also when it comes to protecting your food and the defilement from living in this land. The only way that you're going to be able to get out of a lot of these sicknesses that's going to come upon the majority of our people is by having strong prayer, abiding in righteousness, and also not being a glutton, not getting too caught up in eating and getting, you got to have discipline when it comes to your diet. So also a lot of times what can help cleanse your diet is fasting. Not only just fasting spiritually, where, you go a full day, 2 full days without eating food, without eating water, but also trying to fast out some of these different foods that you've been programmed and raised up to eat. So like if y'all brothers is addicted to candy, hey, try and limit the candy for a couple weeks until you get off of it, and then try to limit the soda, and then try to limit the refined meats. You're not going to be perfect, but what you're going to start to notice as you continue to discipline yourself more and more and more, essentially what's going to happen is your diet is going to get more cleansed, and you're going to be able to, feel more healthier, have a clearer mind. And again, as your body gets cleaner, you start to walk with the Most High even closer. So I don't want to make this too long, man. Again, I give all praise to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. For those of y'all who don't know who the doctor is, his name is Dr. Bobby Price. Y'all can check out his channel. He got some good stuff on there. And I'll catch y'all brothers in the next video, man. Peace.